Obi-doo, it's everyone's favorite boomer and vintage lens enthusiast. I went out and I bought the novoflex Nikon F to Canon EOS mount. It's on another lens on another camera, but I did use this lens, which is Zoom NIKKOR 28 to 50 3.5. It's a really nice sharp lens. It's slightly low in contrast. Small, compact, relatively lightweight. It's on the Rebel T1i, which is like a 13 megapixel or something like that. This has live view. I want to try something live. So I'm in manual mode, right? You hit this button and see the screen. Oh, look at that. It shows up. But this is interesting. If I set this according to, suppose I put that as F8 and I dial in the shutter speed. And then when I'm out in the field, when I push this button, the screen is black blink. So in order for me to see, I gotta go to A depth. And then I could see in live view. I don't know if it's just a fluke with this camera or what, but I hit it a couple times. So if I set it F8, say I use ISO 400, and this thing is, I dial in, let's say I dial in 250. Well, when I hit this button, it's blank. I don't know why it's doing that, but it does. But just by going to A depth, I could see. So the T1i doesn't do that. As soon as I press the T3i doesn't do that. As soon as I press the live view button, I get the screen. So I don't know what to say. But I did use a novoflex adapter on this lens, and it fits perfectly with no slop, and it has infinity focus, right? So all you have to do is compose and focus, and it's hard. If you're in the shade or it's sort of an overcast day, you might have difficulties even at the wide aperture f3.5, right? Then you go to live view. Live view's crazy because, all right, you get live view, you hit the magnifier button, you focus, and then, well, luckily with Canon, you just keep hitting magnify and it goes back to, when it reaches the end of magnification, it goes back to full view. But then you gotta shut live view off, recompose, set your shutter speed, and then take a picture, trip the shutter. So it's sort of a rigmarole. It makes it more difficult. And I'm using this as an excuse just so I could use these lenses and these cameras and see what sort of results I get. That's what the whole idea is. If you're a photographer and you like to take pictures, well, then here's a perfect excuse to go out and take pictures. Maybe learn something, overcome the challenges, all that good stuff, right? So I went back to the park, height of fall foliage, October 15th, and I took some more pictures with everything I learned from, you know, the previous outings. Yeah, I got better results. I still lost like 20 or 30% due to poor focus. But the ones that came out good came out really good. Some were just barely in the depth of field, and with a little judicious sharpening, they looked really good, and I kept them. But why don't we just look at the photos instead, and then you could decide yourself. But what I'm saying is, if you have Canon gear and you always want to get, oh, you heard about some legendary NIKKOR lens, well, then you buy this adapter and put it on your legendary lens, and just use that when you want the look. You know what I'm saying? So let's see if I got the look in the following slideshow. So I went back to the park on October 10th, as usual. On doctor's orders, you understand, you know, to be active and keep my cholesterol low and all that stuff, maybe lose a little weight. And it started out somewhat sunny, and then it sort of got cloudier and cloudier. And these are almost like right out of the camera, what the camera did. Maybe I adjusted the levels a little bit, but that's pretty much what the camera gave me. I might have sharpened a few, because they are right on the cusp of depth of field. And I really like the results. I mean, in sunny weather, and you can focus on some sharp contrasty object and you get really decent focus. Look at that. You know, this is a sort of a close-up. Most of the leaves I did at 50 millimeters. At the normal closest focusing, I didn't really go into the macro mode. The ground was a little wet. There was no place to sit down, so I couldn't get comfy. And then, of course, I went through the whole zoom range, which is 28 millimeters. I used 28 millimeters or 50 millimeters, and it's a couple of like 35 millimeters. And I was very happy with the results. It's very challenging to get a proper focus. All right, the T series seems to have a full focusing screen, but there's no focusing aid. Canon saw fit not to have you have a manual focus assist like Pentax does. You press the shutter button halfway, you turn the lens, you hear a beep, you see a red dot in the middle, and you get the green hexagon in the status bar in the viewfinder, and you know you're in focus. But no, Canon didn't do that. You know, well, they want to rope you into all their EF lenses and all that stuff. Another thing is, if you look at where the flash is, the flash overhangs over the front of the camera. So if you do find an adapter and put it on, this thing blocks just from just tilting the camera a little bit and setting your shutter speed. No, you got to tilt it a lot or twist it to see what aperture you want to set. So Canon did two things to prevent you from using manual lenses on their DSLRs. Well, be that as it may. I got some pretty good results with this NIKKOR F. I think it was an AI, or was it AIS? I forget. At any rate, if you focus carefully, and you can get good results. I had to use the flash quite a bit. It sort of got gloomy and dark. And flash actually helps because you can stop down to f11 or f16 and get some more depth of field. Of course, flash does weird things to how it gives it pop and pizzazz, but sometimes it oversaturates, and I got to correct for that. You know, the rocks and the moss comes out a little dark, but the leaves come out brighter. Well, you know, that's just the way it is. But that didn't stop me. I went right ahead and I kept blasting away. I lost 20 or 30%. That's you got to expect that, I guess. It's not like a mirrorless camera that has a 10x live view in the viewfinder, and you can nail the focus precisely, even at f8. This thing I had to always go to wide open, focus, stop down, adjust the shutter speed, recompose, and all that good stuff. Now, a lot of these macros, I did use the live view on, and it did help a lot, without a doubt. So the XT and the XTI, forget about them, they're useless. The T1i is useful. The T3i is more useful. It's because they have the T3i seem to have a slightly brighter viewfinder. I don't know. Look at this. This is a crop, a 1-to-1 crop. That's nice. That's really nice. Now you can see it got more cloudy, so everything was evenly lit. And I didn't want to jack up the contrast. I mean, this is sort of what it looked like. But it's still colorful and nice. You could take if you had a boat, they have a little spot where you could put your boat in the lake, and you could motor boat or row or kayak out to this lake. But this is an island. There's some structures on the island too. I've never been there, so I can't say what it's all about. And there's this, you know, the trees and bushes are all changing at different rates. So some trees were going, some trees were down, some trees didn't start yet. I thought it was going to be a terrible season, but we did finally get some rain, and that brought a lot of the colors out. So 10-15, that's usually the peak of when the colors are. But it seems like I'm recording this on the 20th, and there's still some trees that are only turning now, and they have even more vibrant and weird colors in them. So I could recommend it. Now, I have the Novoflex adapter, but apparently photodiodes makes a similar adapter. But I don't know if it's as good as, or but it's way cheaper. The photodiodes adapter is like 20 or 30 bucks, but the NovoFlex was $45 used, and brand new they're like $150 or something. I mean, I got into vintage glass, I got into mirrorless cameras, and now I find out there's an adapter, and it's doable, but it's not as convenient and easy as using a mirrorless camera, without a doubt. But that shouldn't stop you if you're a photographer and you really want to try it. You don't have to have 5 NIKKOR F lenses like I do. All you have to do is buy the one that you want and just use that for the look. I think I got the look, but that's your own opinion to that. NIKKOR zoom 28 to 50 3.5, excellent lens on the Canon DSLR T1i.